slowed. 1.5% growth, and the headlines this morning are calling it a stumble. Professor Adeyemi has pulled up a chair for this one, and I'll lean on her throughout. Here's what stops me. One of the things that pulled that number down isn't weakness at all, and the Bureau's own notes name it.
Bookkeeping? 2.1 down to 1.5 is a real drop, though.
A real drop in one number. Straight off the release, quote, real gross domestic product increased at an annual rate of 1.5%. The exact page.
That's the release talking, not a headline writer.
2.1 in the first quarter. 1.5 in the second. 0.6 of a point, and that gap is this morning's whole story.
So what left the number?
Private domestic demand accelerated. 1.7 last quarter, 3.9 this one. Consumer spending plus private fixed investment, its growth rate more than doubled while the headline fell.
The rate more than doubled. So how does the headline fall at the same time?
Government spending fell and imports rose. Neither of those means households.
Wait. Americans buying more foreign goods is a warning sign, not a footnote.
Government spending fell and imports rose. Two different mechanisms. Government spending is a line the Bureau adds, and it shrank. Imports are the one line it subtracts, and that grew. Fenrir and I went around on this twice before air. Professor Adeyemi, break the tie.
Imports subtract by arithmetic, not weakness. Add it all up, take the imported part out, what's left is what we made. Quote, imports, which are a subtraction in the calculation of gross domestic product, increased.
So the more we buy, the worse we look.
Wrong, and it's the one I'd most like to kill. An imported couch already got counted inside consumer spending. Subtracting it removes a double count. It nets out.
Then is Fenrir's worry settled, or only the arithmetic?
Only the arithmetic. A bigger import bill can still mean a domestic producer lost that sale, and a third mover we skipped. Exports decelerated too. No accounting trick there. Real drag.
Fine. I'll take the arithmetic.
That's a record. 9 seconds.
9 seconds because she's right. Buying because they can, or because nothing cheaper was left.
They bought more, in real terms. Real consumer spending rose 0.4% in June.
A great month, and nothing put aside. The saving rate was 2.7%.
Both, probably. This release cannot separate them.
Professor Adeyemi, the other half of the drag. Government spending fell. Do we know why, and does it come back?
It's in the release. The technical notes say the decrease was led by federal non-defense spending, and the pattern primarily reflected sales of crude oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Sales are deducted from government consumption. The government sold oil, so the line went down. Whether it repeats, I'd have to check the Energy Department's schedule.
Hold that second half. And carry one number out of here, 3.9. That's you and the shop on your corner. Sarah, you know the number I keep circling back to on mornings like this?
The nowcast one? Go.
The Atlanta Fed's model had it at 1.54. The advance estimate came in at 1.50. The LSEG poll wanted 2.1. 0.04 versus 0.6.
2.1 is a consensus, not a roll call. It's the middle of the poll. Nothing says every economist sat above 1.5.
Which is not a rounding error, it's a...
Exactly, and the model has no reputation riding on the answer.
One unusually close quarter, not a law. It reads the data as it lands, the way the late-night documentaries I love name a cause once the footage is in. Its workbook puts the average miss near 0.75 of a point.
Bigger than the miss we're laughing at. Last quarter, the model was off by exactly that.
The Atlanta Fed says so itself. Quote, GDP now is not an official forecast of the Atlanta Fed. It's a running estimate off available data, no subjective adjustments, which is why that page carries a warning label. It rolled to 5.0 for the third quarter yesterday on almost no data.
5%, that's Erica's lane. I'd get the decimals wrong.
Don't spend it. An initial quarterly reading is a placeholder, not a promise.
Flag before we go on. I want to say inflation is near 5%, and I don't trust my memory on a number people act on. Pull the page.
Inflation right now, straight off the Bureau's June report. Quote, from the same month 1 year ago, the PCE price index for June increased 3.7%. Excluding food and energy, the PCE price index increased 3.3% from 1 year ago.
3.7, not 5. That's the one to write down. Not my guess.
3.7% on a $2 black coffee is 7 cents. Every price at once.
3.7 is the 12-month change, and that's what people mean by inflation right now. Core is 3.3. The 5.1 Sarah reached for is the quarterly index annualized over 3 months. Different measure entirely.
And on the quarterly measure, core actually fell 4.4% down to 3.4.
While what's the other one called? The gross domestic purchases index. That one went the other way.
It did. 3.6 to 5.7. Different basket though. Consumer spending, private investment, and government purchases. And unlike gross domestic product, it counts imports and leaves exports out.
Both things are true. Core cooling, purchase prices heating in one release. Two honest reads, stagflation. Growth fell to 1.5, 12-month headline prices sit at 3.7%, and the purchases index accelerated. Normalization, private demand's growth rate more than doubled. Quarterly core prices fell, and June's headline index fell 1/10.
Both defensible, off the same pages. Erica, the half you parked, the Bureau doesn't forecast. But the note ends on the sentence that settles it. Quote, because the oil sold by the government is reflected as an increase in other components of gross domestic product, there is no direct effect on GDP.
The other half of that 3.9 is investment, equipment, software, and research. Non-residential structures, the part you'd point at from the road, went the other way.
The Fed chair said the same Wednesday. Kevin Warsh called the strong growth of business investment the most striking feature of the economy.
Chairs say that, then revisions happen.
They do. An advance estimate is built on incomplete data by design.
Here's where I land. The slowdown is real on paper, the engine underneath got stronger, same release. Don't treat 1.5% as a verdict on your job or your grocery bill. Track two numbers, 3.7 on 12-month prices, and whether private demand holds 3.9. The headline measured the country. That number measured you. Professor Adeyemi, thank you. The oil sale paragraph is the thing a lot of today's coverage will skip.
She still owes me an answer on that import bill.
Ask me again when September prints, Fenrir.
If a confusing number just got clearer, hit like and subscribe. It helps us keep these coming. The model nailed this quarter and misses by more on average. How much is that worth? That's the desk today. I'm Professor Erica. Thanks for watching and see you on the next estimate.